My name's Margaret Ann Windsor. Don't let me shake my head or body language or I'm not ready to take on Dr. Phil, I guess, or maybe I am, if that's taking him on. But I always really thought this man is really a good man. He's truthful. I'm going to put this up. God help if all this is told, what I've lived and told, and it's the truth. Now then, let's see. Am I shaking my head or what was the other one? Because to be honest, I've prefaced, that. And I'm going to tell you something, fella, because I've lost admiration for you. Because I'm just watching a video you put up, and I've seen this that you've stated before, where you body language and all this, and someone who, well, some of what you say, you're calling them not telling the truth 90% out of the time or something. Well, that no, that doesn't always apply, and I wonder now how much it applies. And I wonder what your body language would say if you were asked the right questions. And I can assure you I have not lied. Now then, if you want to call it that, what if it's ever laid out there in front of the whole world? And all you do is, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Geez, had I only known. Well, you've had every chance in the world. You had Nancy Grace up there the other day when you were attacking let's say, well, it was Scott Peterson. You let him be attacked by an FBI profiler. God, if this is ever forced down the throats of people, where were your psychiatrists, your doctors, misdiagnosing people and making havoc out of their life? Sure weren't telling about mind control and all these murders. And yes, I was kidnapped and brought over here. And I wonder how they explain the Larry Flint endorsement. Let's see how. I don't know what they do with that. I think, and the FBI run Hustler magazine. Or they did. They probably still do. But then you have my word for it. But I've told you how I came to that conclusion. I've even mentioned one of the FBI agents' names, and I don't want to get the FBI that were the good guys in trouble. But I guess they can take care of themselves. I hope so. And now then, I've listened to Dr. Phil, and I was shocked at a few things he said about body language, etc. In this video that, I don't know, it just happened to pop up, was on that very subject. Well, excuse me, but if, I hope and pray that the truth is told, and see what y'all have to say. Where were your doctors, number one? That includes you, Dr. Phil. Your forensic psychologist. Where have all of you been in what I've been telling? you're trying to diagnose Watts. On your program where Scott Peterson, you had Nancy Grace. Oh my God, I'm going to stop right here. I really am, and leave it here, because please, I hope and pray this is about to be told, all of it. Now, I've told it, but you can call me names as long as you want to till I'm dead, because I'm 80 years old almost. Nancy Grace, again, is like a pit bull. Rah! At you. People love her. He had her on the program. Now, how do you read what she's saying, Dr. Phil? Or did you not ask her some of the right questions? This woman's done nothing but lie. First of all, she worked for Slayton, the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia. So she has to know about mind control. She has to know about Wayne Williams. She certainly has to know about me. Or what is she doing? She has to know a bunch of this about mind control murders and everything. Yet, most of the people, or I won't say most of them because I didn't watch it, but let me put this, at least some of them that she had on her program on CNN, what was it, something court? I don't know what she's doing now. I think she has an internet or something where she's doing the same thing. Some of these are mind control murders. She's helping. She's a prosecutor, a former prosecutor. She's helping send people to death row or screw their life up because she failed to tell the truth. And telling the truth is telling when someone is suffering from mind control, being programmed by, now then it's coming. I mean, a lot of people can do it. They don't have to be MK Ultra or working for one of the agencies, government agencies or anything. It's just as easy as corporations are using it now. So the whole thing boils down to the truth's never told. You can call, by the way, I have already said this up on YouTube, I believe, a few weeks ago, that Watts, that was, I think he's from Colorado, killed his wife, unborn child. So that's similar to what you say Scott Peterson did. Connor was the unborn child, and Lacey Peterson was his wife. He's on death row. Now, Watts pled guilty, and he was programmed, probably. I don't have the name and the patterns exactly, except any fool, I'm going to go ahead and say it, any fool knows there's something wrong with that whole scenario about Watts. And it is similar to Scott Peterson, but I'm not going by name patterns exactly. So, but I did make the statement that I thought he had been programmed. And he's pled guilty because he doesn't know he was programmed. How would he? He thinks he did commit the murders. I didn't mean to do another one this morning, except I'm disgusted. I sit here with I can't even use my real name. I was kidnapped, and yes, I was. All this happened, and I want to refer Dr. Phil, who I admired up until now, and that's all gone. I can assure you. I want to remind you, Dr. Phil, that when I was writing the book about mind control, and my attorney was Eugene Kaiser, a former Fulton County DA, an honest one, by the way, and I think Slayton to a degree, but then here's Pitbull that you had on your program, and you had this profiler that she's written books, and she's been on programs like Art Bell and George Snorri, Coast to Coast, because she's got a degree and she's a profiler. Well, if this is ever told about the programming, and by the way, who's really doing some of the programming, I wonder what you're going to say. You have to hope that it's never told. And it's not just MK Ultra. And a lot of this has been people who have been programmed. They're victims themselves, like next door at Virginia Tech. The young man shot the .32 and then turned the gun and assassinated himself. You might as well call it assassinated himself. Really, it was mind control. He was programmed to. So, let's see. Now, if I preface this by saying I have told the truth, or what was your other indication that someone's lying? Well, when you're doing, no, I haven't lied, Dr. Phil. So your scenario, if this is ever put before the world to see, and I hope it is, falls apart, what are you going to do? What are you going to say then? Because I have to wonder when Nancy Grace can get up there and spit her vial out when she's helped convict innocent people, because she wouldn't tell the truth. My attorney, back to Eugene Kaiser, because he was over, to my knowledge, he didn't know anything about her. She hadn't come on the scene at the time. Anyway, he was a good attorney, and he was the one where I got at least the deposition about Jean Srokerman. She was referred to my attorney, Eugene Kaiser, by Dr. Robichaud. He was head of law and psychiatry at Emory University. And he, in The Power of Psychiatry, one of his last books before they murdered him, he was a good guy. One of the few that would tell the truth, Dr. Phil. Yep, told the truth. He had 10 of my cases in the last chapter of his book, and I had never met him that I know of. So he refers Jean Srokerman to my attorney, Eugene Kaiser, and his book's written, and he includes 10 of my cases, just mentions them. He doesn't mention my name, but the last chapter. I did speak with his wife, and his nephew, I believe, was who it was, and they were very nice to me. I spoke to the nephew first, and he talked to me, and then he referred me to Jan, was her name, and by this time he was dead, so she had been given an honorary position at Emory. And by the way, later, former Georgia Governor Carter and President Carter was made, what position? It wasn't psychiatry, he doesn't have that. Law out there. Anyway, Dr. Robichaud was killed in such a way that they'll never prove it was murder. So you know what was used on him. You have to hope that there's a place in heaven for someone like him. Anyway, his wife was given an honorary position. So you can, people call you liars, or they don't want to hear about the government, and certainly don't want to hear that I was kidnapped, and Great Britain was attempts to take it down, and by the Illuminati that kidnapped me and took down my father. So I wrote a book that was the truth in it, and I was almost killed April Fool Day. I've put nothing but the truth up there. And then to have someone stand up, and I'm listening to some of the things he said, in essence, it would be calling me a liar. So all your little tactics about body language are not necessarily true. Now, if I'm skipping around, I want to finish the bit about Jean Srokerman. My attorney, Gene Kaiser, well, he didn't tell her to go to work there. She got a job at Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta. Now, that's where the spinoff of Larry McDonald, who I was writing about, he's U.S. Congressman and doctor, a urologist from Piedmont. Later, he goes down in the plane, the KAL, or supposedly he did, en route from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea. What happened was that Nixon was on there too. You get the 18.5-minute gap where Henry Kissinger, your Illuminati, head of your global government, is there, trying to have me murdered if the Brits don't cross his palm with what they're demanding. So it's ransom. Okay, so let me back up. Where am I now? I was telling about Dr. Larry McDonald because he was the one in my book, a big part of it, and he was at Piedmont Hospital. Jean Srokerman, well, let me go again. You can connect it if you try. Later in 1983, that's when the plane went down, and he was supposedly on it, Larry McDonald. Well, Nixon, who is Kissinger, the Watergate, all that, Nixon was on that flight, ready to take off. They took him off just prior to takeoff, so they knew it was going down. And there's questions about if Larry McDonald was really on the plane with that 286 or 96 that all died, or it was a takedown to make it appear that he was. Now then, I got in that special election, and Larry Flint had been shot of Hustler magazine back in '78 when I'm doing the book about a program shooter, which was part of what I was telling about the Tesla files, where you can program people to have a heart attack. Like Robin Williams was supposed to have committed suicide. It was murder by mind control. He didn't commit suicide. He was programmed to do it, just like he could be programmed to shoot and kill someone else. But he killed himself. And I want to say this for whatever, if this mess has ever told the patterns. Mark for Mark has to do with emotions. And Pam Darby and was played in the program. Okay, you get back to Penny Marshall just died. Now, I'm not going to try to connect it for you, but maybe one day it'll all be laid out. I don't know. Hope so. Penny Marshall just died a few days ago, and her brother, I thought it was her father too, were in on producing some of this, like Laverne and Shirley, and she was on there. And they're saying that was a spinoff from Happy Days. I thought, but anyway, Mark for Mark showed up in Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley at least once or twice. And then they had the Mark for Mark. So I'm bringing this in because it fits in if it's ever told. If it is never told, I then keep on saying it's all bull, I guess. Bull, that's what Dr. Phil's program. By the way, I like Weatherly. I'm sad that's happening to him. I really am. He's being, I don't know, I don't think he did it, but then I just happen to like Weatherly. Who plays Dr. Phil on Bull? Now then, I got sidetracked. Let me get back to this. Gene Srokerman. First of all, my attorney, Gene Kaiser, was going to give me her files, and he said that all he had was the deposition because the police came in. And this is unorthodox. They're not supposed to be able to do it. And they took his files, all except that, on Gene Srokerman. So she went to work across the street for Piedmont Hospital. I said across the street. Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta. She went to work for Dr. Hardiman, a psychiatrist, who becomes a part of this thing through Carol Johnson, or Amanda in my book, if I'd had it published. A nice lady, but when the pressure started building, her jobs were gotten to, why, bye-bye. But at least she tried, I think. She's from Madison, Wisconsin, by the way, where my mother was born. And so when I started telling her certain things about doing the book, and she was going to supposedly help me with it, although she didn't do what she was supposed to, she made a mess out of it. Really, I didn't tell her to edit it, and she knew it, so I don't know what she was doing, really, at the time. Anyway, Hardiman, Gene Srokerman actually, how did that happen? Yeah, that would have been Gene that brought documents and stuff to Peachford to Carol Johnson. So when I started telling her this, she knew I was telling the truth. Well, she admitted it, and then it was later she's supposedly going to help me with the book. And so I'm trying to make the connections, because then you've got Larry McDonald worked for Piedmont Hospital. Okay, and Gene Srokerman was suing a psychiatrist, I've forgotten his name, and my attorney was going to help her, but they killed her. And then Robicher had a psychiatrist